What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand to Table podcast. Promised you guys I was going to have a guest on the show that I'm super excited to talk to today. And this dude has a phenomenal story. And if you know anything about me, I love stories and I take a lot away from great stories. And I just think that this guy is going to share with you a lot of insight in the industry and help you guys, especially if you're multi-unit. I'll give you a lot of great details and a lot of great information that's going to help you grow and maybe not make the same mistakes he did coming up. And then, I'm just pumped. I feel like I've known this guy for 20 years already. And it's the first time I'm meeting him in person. So without further ado, I want to introduce Joey Cioffi from the Salad House. What is going on, dude?
What's up, my man? How are you doing?
Oh my God, dude. It's been a minute, man. I think we tried to set this up like back in January.
So, yeah.
And, we're finally here. And, dude, and I'm not kidding you, dude. I feel as soon as you walked in, I'm like, I feel like I've known this guy my whole freaking life. But what's going on, man? How you been?
Nothing. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm grinding, man. Just going full tilt, man, full throttle.
Yeah. So I kind of want to take this time to give people the backstory. Some people might not know who the hell you are. Mm-hmm. All right. So I kind of want to take it back and I want you to share your little origin story with us because there's some points in it after doing some research that I kind of want to highlight because you weren't necessarily your family was in the restaurant business, but
I wanted out.
Yeah.
Out.
So talk to me about this.
Yeah. So, I always like to start, the origin story really starts with my parents, taking that leap of faith, coming here, on a boat, literally 11, 12 days at sea, 18 years old, trying to attack the American dream, trying to chase the American dream. And, they came over here not knowing the language, and they had no idea how they were going to achieve the American dream. They didn't have a plan. They just came here just knowing that they thought the streets were paved in gold. Arrived in Newark, New Jersey, and as you could probably attest to, Newark is not paved in gold. I love Newark, brick city. Yeah. But, when they got there, they were scared. They worked in a factory. They hated it. My father, had a fellow paisan that had a pizzeria, and my father learned how to make pizzas on the weekend, and then he started making, my dad would make, the guy would just throw him $20, $25. This was back in 1957, where that's a lot of money. Like, he worked the entire week and he wasn't making that, or he was barely making that inside this factory with no windows. And my dad was able to, he was like, oh my God, I'm learning like the weekend. So there's something to this food business. Mm-hmm. We're Italian. We love sharing love with food, and food is such a big part of our culture. So, the guy ended up, was at the end of his line, and he kind of took over the business and the building for my dad. And my dad started, my mother and father, my uncle, my aunt, they started Tony's Pizzeria in Newark, back then. And, he was such a hustler that he had a telephone line that ran upstairs to the apartment that they lived in and basically stayed open 24 hours a day. Like that's how committed he was to making this successful and to proving to his family that he made the right choice. Literally at 2 a.m., you're drunk, call up Tony's Pizza to ring up. He kept the ovens on. He'd go downstairs, make the pie, and deliver it himself. So that's kind of, so I always start with that because it's so important to me. And it's, I'm so grateful for their, and in awe of what they've done to come here. So,
what's Mom Dukes do?
She worked in the business. She was, they called her Sandy hot dogs. She used to make the Italian hot dogs in the back, and she would always, make her meatballs, and she was always in the back. But then when my brother and sister came, she became a mother, a little bit more. I mean, still mothering them inside the restaurant. My poor brother Lena and Jerry, they would be in the restaurant. They worked a lot younger and a lot harder early on. But then my mom, kind of pulled away. Mm-hmm. My parents ended up going back to Italy. Wasn't for them. They thought maybe that was going to be he was going to be the prodigal son, go back. And he realized that America is the greatest country in the world, and decided, there's a ceiling in Italy, you know what I mean? And he came back here. And then I came into the fray in 1977, 14 years after my brother. And, and the business has already started, coming into, the business was already existing. So, yeah. I jumped, at 4 years old, I was already, behind the counter, and and then I started working pretty early on. I I always joke that I made the mistake of telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, I want to be around you, like around 11, 12 years old. I'm like, after school, like, I want to learn. I could answer the phones. I could, ring people up. I mean, I could, do all the things. Next thing you know, I look over and the girl Rita that used to work there, or, and I was just like, where's she? He's like, we don't need a Rita. We got you now. So here it is. My brother was already trapped in the business, and then I was trapped in it. But Henry, I got to tell you, man, it was such an education, man. Like learning from the best. Like my brother, 14 years older than me, my father, what they did, and I at the time hated it. I truly hated it so much because, all my other friends were living like after school, doing their thing. Sports was my only outlet. And, summers were miserable for me. I'm like, I can't believe, people are excited for summer and I have to go to work.
Yeah.
But it taught me so much. Yeah. And I'm in hindsight, it was the greatest education of my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the work ethic. Like I know you're close with your dad because I see you on social media with him and stuff like that. And I have a very close relationship with my father too. And when I see that, it just brings me back memories. Like my father had me working when I was 13, and whether we were cutting lawns or snow plowing or whatever. And yeah, I hated it too because I wanted to go sleigh riding. You know what I mean? And I'm in a plow with my dad at 5 a.m. and then I got to go to school. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I could appreciate that hustle. And I think, we look back and we say, thank God, because I see some of the folks now, I see some of the kids now, it's like you got to literally prod them to get them to work. And it's just like so night and day from where we're at. Now, fast forward, Tony's is thriving. And now it sounds like you guys are coming out of Newark. You're getting into like the Millburn area. And now Choffee's restaurant, your family restaurant begins.
Yeah, Choffee's in 1981. My father... he bought this building, and it's funny. We have a picture of the building. It's like boarded up. It was an old milk store. And my brother, who was 17, 18 at the time, just graduating high school, my dad's like, yeah, we're moving from, they had a restaurant, like a traditional sit-down Choffee's in Union, still there. He broke free from my uncle and wanted to open up like some a little bit more fast casual. Okay. Before fast casual was a thing, in 1981, 45 years ago, my father had the foresight to see that this was like, get your food quick, delicious, healthy, and delicious, tasty, and walk out the door. Started in 1981, and my brother, he rode his bike there, and he saw it was all boarded up. And he was like, Dad, what are we doing? We have this beautiful restaurant. He was crying. He was literally crying. He was like, can't believe what we're doing. But we started in 1981. We're actually going to have a 45th anniversary soon, which is amazing. But the business, it was based on love and hospitality and sharing love, like the food, being that vehicle, and really and walking into the place and feeling like your family, feeling like you're important. Regulars, feeding generations, feeding kids, was, again, I would talk about the education, but that was like the real education, was like really appreciating your customers, really loving what you're doing, because it's an intimate thing. Yeah. Food is so intimate.
It really is. It really is. It creates so much connection, right? So, all right, let's fast forward. Now you're getting older. You go off to Monmouth University. Big shout out to Long Branch. That's where I grew up. And so now you're playing football. You are getting your feet wet in finance, right? And then 9/11 comes. And I remember where I was that day too. And if you guys lived in New Jersey, spent in northern New Jersey, or during that time, it was a different feeling. And I'll just leave it at that, because we could go into a whole nother episode about that whole period. So you're getting ready to start to work in New York. 9/11 happens, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, well, I graduated, and I wanted out of the business, like I mentioned to you before. I just was like, I'm out. Like I got a finance degree. Anybody in the late 90s was making money on Wall Street. So I'm like, I could do this. Yeah. I get out there. So I worked with Merrill, not too far, like in Wayne, New Jersey, and it was Wayne in Jersey City. Didn't like it. I got my Series 7, but I really didn't like being confined to like a space. I'm a mover. I have ADD. I'm like in constant perpetual motion. Like, sitting still here is very difficult for me. But that being said, I was moving on from Merrill. I had an opportunity in the city, like you had mentioned, and it was that day. And the guy actually asked if I wanted to meet early in the morning, and it was my early 20s. I'm like, I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. I'd rather meet a little bit later. And my brother called me up. He's like, "Down there in the city, somebody crashed, and there was an accident."
Yeah.
And at that moment, it was obviously scary. Didn't know what was going to happen, with the world, and also, the New York City. Like, it was like, what am I doing? I didn't really love it, so I'm like, this is the perfect time to pivot. Go back into the family business, work with my brother. My dad was kind of on the way out, kind of help modernize the business with POS and maybe put healthier options on the menu and just, help with the catering, because my brother was like this catering savant. So we, so that's where I, was back into the family business. I got thrusted back into the family business.
I love it. So now you're working with the fam, and Salad House starts to come into the back of your mind. Walk me through that, because I want to understand kind of how that spawned into what it is today. I didn't get a chance we didn't get a chance to talk about this off camera, and I was waiting for this moment to ask you that question. So where did this come from?
So, full transparency, it's my wife.
Yeah, I heard.
Morning, shout out. She was the one that would constantly complain about chopped salads. I'm not going to name any names, but there were some places in the town we lived in that were doing chopped salads, and they were just not good. It was expensive, and she's just like, she goes, "There's nothing in the suburbs. There's nothing in the suburbs." And I remember the night in 2010 when I was just closed the Deli, and I cut through Millburn, New Jersey. Live in Livingston and from Springfield, and I was at this traffic light, and I looked over and I saw Ford Lease. And in my mind, I knew it was a restaurant. I knew the restaurant that was there beforehand, and I said, "There's an opportunity." But I wanted to craft it into what I saw was a little bit more for suburbia. Okay. I mean, knowing that I'm not self-admittingly wasn't a salad eater. I'm a salad eater now. I love it.
Yeah, dude. But listen, we're getting older.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't be hitting chicken parms every day.
Exactly. So I, went home and literally, pen to paper, and I drew up this business plan, and I had my children in mind too, because I knew how fussy they were with eating, and you have children, you understand. So I wanted there to be I wanted it to be a one-stop shop. I wanted to be able to feed all. And, but at the same time, I wanted it to be more health focused and an opportunity for people to, just like an approachable salad concept that wasn't so like, so fancy.
Yeah.
And so like, I got to Google ingredients. I kind of wanted to make it pretty cut and dry and be able to feed anybody and everybody. You know what I mean? A group of friends, a group of your family, your office mates, like whatever. Like I wanted to, so that's kind of, that was the origin, and that's was able to.
Well, thank God for your wife.
Yeah, thank God. For
now you got a multi-location empire, So, all right. So, talk to me. You open up that location. What gave you the confidence and proof to open up location 2? Because you did it pretty quickly. You did it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I saw, obviously there was a lot of mistakes, including the logo. You're a brand guy. I don't know if you got a peek of my first logo, but it was pretty ugly, man. It was pretty, because I was afraid of, I wasn't going to bring it up. I was afraid of leaving that Mediterranean, that whole Italian thing. So it was like more terracotta. Actually, one of the murals I had, the first mural that I had, was kind of, I told the girl, the inspo was making it like a woman in Tuscany picking, like, it was a beautiful mural. It was like, I should show you a picture of it. I should resurface it somehow, social media wise. And it was like a really cute, it looked like it was like in a Florentine, like countryside in Tuscany, and this woman like just picking fresh vegetables. And that was kind of the angle. But then it kind of like, that wasn't who we were. That, once I started figuring out exactly who the business was. And then, and I just felt confident because I knew what we were doing. And I knew people were coming from other, 25 minutes away from Morristown, from like other towns, and they were flocking to Salad House Millburn. So I took a chance, and I don't know if you know, but in Morristown, there's this green, and that was the area.
All
That
right.
was the area that everyone said you had to be on the green. And I looked at a space, and it was very expensive rent. And like, as much as I was confident, I wasn't that confident. I was like, that's a very, coming from somebody that owns his own business, own building at Choffee's, and then like paying a decent rent, not such a crazy rent in Millburn, to jump really this far in the deep end was scary. And so I saw another opportunity. My real estate agent, Bill Ray, I remember him telling me there was a spot on the side street. And I was like, you know what, let's just go there. It's a rock's throw from the green. And when I signed the lease and I was getting ready to go, there was this Italian guy across the street. And I thought like, oh, he got a little Italian deli type place. I'm like, I can relate to this guy. It's my paisan. So I talked to him like, hey, we started talking in Italian. And all of a sudden he looks at me, he goes, going to last us 6 months. I go, what? I'm like, he goes, nobody comes down this street. He goes, nobody's going to see you over here. He goes, you made a big mistake. I'm like, well, but fast forward, he ended up going out of business a couple of years later, and Morristown, knock on wood, been there over 10 years.
So you gotta like not listen to people's bullshit. You know what I mean? Seriously.
But my confidence, truthfully, was I knew I was going to be the only show in town, and I knew that South House was special, and we're in the digital age where you're going to be able to find people.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to necessarily drive by a place to notice where they are. So as long as you market it properly, you'll be found.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because before the show, I talked to you about when I was CMO, we opened up a 14 location quick serve dessert concept, and I think we were opening up a little too quickly. And things started to shake up a little bit with the franchisees and things like that. So, that, again, another podcast for another day. But I wanted to ask you, what were some of the things when you were building this brand up that were bending and breaking at first, where you were like, oh, wait a second, I got to get a handle on this? Was it people? Was it process? Was it product? What was... Out of those three things, what was the thing that you had to focus on first?
Well, it was everything. I'll be honest with you. I, self-admittingly came from a mom and pop's place. So, we say that like at the end of the week, if I had more money than I did in the beginning of the week, it was a success.
Right.
That being said, I was fortunate enough to, buy, I don't believe anything's coincidence. Like, I believe everything happens for a reason. My now partner, Joey Cioffi, was a customer at Choffee's. And he had an accident, or a paddleboard accident. He hurt his shoulder. So him and his hedge fund that would come to the deli religiously 3-4 times a week. He said, Joey, what's that salad place you got? And I'm like, it's Salad House, 343 Millburn Avenue. He's like, oh, I got to check it out because I can't work out. So I want to eat a little healthier. So started going there, and it was like love at first bite. He's like, dude, this place is awesome. He goes, I'm looking to kind of pivot from my profession, being in the hedge fund. And he goes, my brother wants to leave being a physical therapist. He goes, if you want to do something bigger with this, and I had, I wanted to scale, I wanted to franchise the business. I'm like, he goes, I want to be a part of this. We worked out a deal. I had my right-hand man, Jared Bravo, who was there from day one in 2011, Millburn, helped open up. And, and this gentleman is Jared. I can't talk enough about Jared too, because he stuck with me from the beginning. He saw the vision. He saw the vision early on. And, he worked every portion, every part of the Salad House. He's been a part of. He could chop salads. He could cook on the grill. He could answer the phones. He's a POS whiz. He goes in the back office. Like, he's just, so it was Jared, and then Jerry came aboard. Jerry brought along Tim Banos, another person that took a leap of faith, that believed in the vision. He was a teacher, elementary school teacher, and he, Jerry knew him through baseball, and he came aboard too. So the four of us literally, we're upstairs in this office, and it's funny because we look at old pictures, and it almost looks like, not to put us on the same level as you look at the Steve Jobs, like the guys that are in the garage of it, but it was similar because it was just like chairs, boxes, files, and just like us, like sitting around, and really, they really had to do a lot of heavy lifting because I was raw. I just knew what tasted good and what brought people in the door. And they were like, and Jerry's like, we have to make money. He goes, it's great that all these things are good, and great that your calamari salad's amazing, but statistic wise, like Tim and, they were analyzing the statistics and they're like, if only a few people buy it, we got to eliminate that from the menu. We got to cut the menu. We cut the menu down 30%, 40%.
Was that tough for you?
No.
Good.
You know what? I didn't because, I'm a football player, sports guy that knows that there is not one person, that can do it on his own. You could, you look at Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs in history, ever, never won a championship, barely sniffed an opportunity to, And that's because you need a lot more. And he was one of the greatest running backs
It was
ever.
awesome to watch, man.
Yeah. So it's like, so there was no ego involved there. Like I knew in order to scale, in order to make this franchise profitable, make this attractive to people, there needed to be some changes, a lot of changes. And I just, they came in and there was a lot of heavy lifting. And then by like 2017, we really got a grip on it all and we kind of put things in play and then we really started,
It's great to have that network, that sort of those eyes and ears for you, because I know as a business owner, you could get caught in just in a vortex of just by yourself and you have nobody to bounce shit off of. And next thing you know, you start going down a rabbit hole and you're like, oh shit, I'm 50 grand in, I'm 100 grand in. And I'm like, oh, had I saw that, I probably wouldn't have made that turn. Right. So having that infrastructure and having that team, essentially that team from the beginning is dynamite.
Yeah.
Is dynamite. So I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to talk about hospitality, because a lot of times people think like quick serve, it's so run and gun, it's so quick and it's so in and out. You don't necessarily have to spend so much time on hospitality. And I could not disagree more about that, because whether I'm in a salad house or I'm at a 3 Michelin star, if you can't look me in the eye and smile, Houston, we got a problem, right? So I want to know, what does hospitality at scale look like for you? Because now let's talk about the 20 locations that you have, right? Let's talk about the hundreds of employees that carry the Salad House name. How do you scale that hospitality across the board?
Yeah, it's difficult in this day and age because you touched upon it. There's a whole new generation, and and you almost don't want to blame them for it because they were born into this whole keep their heads down, looking at their phone, and not front facing. Again, going back to my early days at being at Choffee's, I was forced to be front facing. I was a chubby, shy kid. And I was forced to be in front of people and to talk to people, crack jokes, and do stuff to make that engagement. But it's difficult. But at the same time, it is our bedrock. I stumbled upon it the other day. I was just we were at a grand opening, and I said, one of our Joey Cioffi, he opened up his third location. Shout out to Joey and Chelsea. They have Tom's River location, very successful. Manahawkin, like right outside LBI. Yeah. And then they just opened up in Wall. And one of Joey's greatest attributes is that the people that he trains he leads by example. He really gives a shit. Excuse my language.
No, listen. It's two bros.
He gives a shit about his customers.
Yeah.
And that is so important. And I stress it. I try and, explain it to every new franchisee, every existing franchisee, that is so important because especially now where the economy's kind of wonky, people are definitely, they're a little bit more mindful where they're spending their money, to not appreciate that guest and to not appreciate, their hard-earned money is awful, and I won't throw in some of these chains, but there's some really, really popular fast casuals, some of the guys that started this whole thing that are awful at that. Yeah. And I personally, I know even my kids recognize it. They'll be like, I'm going to go to another burrito place because I rather go to somewhere like the person isn't looking at me like wants to kill me.
Yeah.
Asking for extra guac.
They're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so important. And I'm glad you touched upon it, because that's like been like a real, focus point for me in 2026 is to really convey the importance of appreciating your guests, appreciating every single person that comes in that store, and and your employees need to do that. Your team needs to understand how important it is. And I always tell them, I always joke with I meet new team members. I go, so who's your boss? And right away they're like, oh yeah, and they mention the franchisee or the manager, and I go, no, you're wrong. He said, what do you mean? I'm like, they're not your boss. I go, they're just the person in between. I go, the boss is the customer that comes in the door. Every single one of them. Every single one of those people are the ones that pay your salary. Myself, the manager, the owner of the franchise location is just in between, just taking that money, paying the bills for the lights, paying the bills for the food, and then paying you. So they're the person in the middle. The true person that you need to appreciate the most, the person that you need to respect the most, is that person that walks in the door. And I stand on it. That's something that's my thing.
There's this entitlement, there's this attitude, there's this cockiness these days that I see, and I'm like, holy shit! If I acted like that when I was a teenager, oh my God, I would have got my ass handed to me so fast, And not to say that your employees are like that. They're not. I've been to multiple locations, and I see the consistency of the hospitality. I see the smiling faces. So I'm up in Sparta. So I go to this. We got to talk about your app before we run out of time too. We'll get into that in a second. But, recently I really started to get back into my health and getting back into different options, because my diet was not a good diet. Even though I lost 30 pounds, it was not one of those diets that were sustainable. So, and we'll leave it at that. So I was like, what? I got to get out of this house. I got to either cook more. I got to get some different options. So Salad House is 10 minutes from my house in Sparta. And so I downloaded the app and I started to, go there more frequently. And I saw the difference, because we had tried it. We had this conversation. I tried it when it first opened, and in Sparta, we got a lot of options. Yeah. And that's just in Sparta, So, and we were like, yeah, pretty good, and we'll put it in the rotation. And then we just stopped going, and then I said, we're going to pick this back up again. And we gave it a few months rest. And then we came back and I saw a big difference. I saw a lot more cheer. I felt a lot more hospitality. And I'm like, somebody got a memo out, because this is what I'm looking for. Like I said, whether I go to a freaking deli, right, a mom and pop deli, or I go to a 4-star restaurant, I'm going to get a feeling. I'm going for an experience. And it's got to be. But I love that story you gave them, the boss story. I'm never going to forget that. I think any employee at that age, getting that at that age, did them such a favor in the industry. I think that's so important to understand.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I wasn't perfect.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. You reminded me of a story, and I apologize to my brother in advance, because I hope he doesn't. Maybe he did not, but it was a lesson learned. And he told me I was about 14 years old. I think I was a freshman in high school, and I was miserable because I didn't get to go to school event or dance. It was a Friday night, and I literally was answering the phones like, "Oh, Choffee's," and being like, I was being a dick, literally every person on the phone. And I'll never forget where my brother was. He goes, Joey, come here. Can I see you for a minute? Yeah, come on. He
laid in you?
He ripped my shirt, my Choffee's Deli shirt off me. He goes, get that out of here. It was, listen, it was my stronger, older brother. It made me tough for football, but it was a learning lesson. And I'll never forget that. And guess what? I would never answer the phone and be like that.
There you go.
Disrespectful, because those customers were the ones that were paying for everything in my life.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Yeah. Let's talk about franchising. Let's talk about culture. Let's talk about leadership. What are some non-negotiables? What are some leadership characteristics? What are some characteristics of a franchisee that you are looking for to be part of the Salad House family?
Well, having good business acumen, understanding that what you're building, it's a marathon. You know what I mean? You really have to. If you're in it for the quick buck and you're in it just because it's a hot sector, then you're not for us.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that just it has no personality or isn't going to put anybody in place, because we have a mom and pop soul. with that corporate vibe, the structure to it. But at the same time, putting people in place and having some warmth attached to you, like having, I want to see you. I want you to look me in the eye. I want to shake your hand. I'm going to hug you. I'm a hugger. Like I'm a very, like that. And I want to see that kind of amber inside you.
Yes.
I want to see that because, that is what a true leader gives a shit. A true leader cares. A true leader, cares about the development of people, within your organization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is, that is how you become successful. You don't become successful by, being, I'm the boss, beating my chest and putting people in place. Yes, there's a time and place where, you kind of have to be authoritative. Yeah, there's definitely, without a doubt. But, for what I'm looking for, somebody that has, and understands business is, you can't just open up a salad house and expect our EUV is $1.7 million. You can't just open up the door and expect it to be 1.7. Like it's not going to happen. It won't happen. Okay. It needs you to have a plan in place, decide what market your business is in. Whether it's a, urban type Newark, if it's in Sparta, you have to approach it differently. And Tim Banos and our crew, we're putting together, a playbook, a real defined playbook of what you should be doing and looking for. We've always said it to them. We've always, and we have enough of a sample size knowing, what kind of approach you should do. But it needs to be boots on the ground. It needs to be, dropping, caterings off. We have an aggressive catering campaign going on because our catering is incredible. Because we're literally such a great option for you. Because if you cater a luncheon, you're not going to have that second half coma. If you have salad house, as opposed to eating something a lot heasier for lunch. So a lot of employers are loving us for catering. Shameless plug about our catering.
Well, I got to tell you, so a quick testimony here. This is kind of how we actually connected. I catered from Salad House back in January. We had a few friends over, and my wife was like, "Yeah, let's do Salad House. You've been going there quite a bit." So we were like, "You sure? Like we're gonna do a catering order?" And so we dropped. We were like, "Let's do it." So it ships so well. That's number one, because I pay attention to that shit. If I get a bunch of soggy ass wraps to my house, so they travel extremely well. And I could not believe what my guests were saying. I could, but they were like, "Where'd you get this in?" And they're like, "Do you not see the wrappers? Like, this is from the Salad House." Like, "Oh, I didn't even know they did catering." Well, now you know. And it's damn good. I got to tell you, everybody enjoyed it. And, we had the leftovers the next day, and I was like, wow, this really keeps. So, you definitely have big shout out to the Sparta location for putting that together so quickly. She put that together so quickly, and it was on point. I was like, my wife, I remember picking up the order. I said, my wife will fucking kill me if all the shit is not in this bag. And she had just got done putting it all in the bag. And I was like, so we're going to take it out. And the look she gave me, but she did it with a smile. She was like, it's all here. So anyway, that was
it's amazing you say that. Cause like when there's a mistake, to all the wives out there, it's not our fault.
I know. It's exactly
like a pizza delivery guy comes in, like it's like
exactly.
Make a mistake.
Forget it. I would have had hell to pay, if something was missing. But I still love her to death. 5 foot, 100 pounds, but can take an army out in 1 second. Same. I think it's important to understand if you're bringing on franchisees to carry the flag. It's very important because, again, when I was overseeing the corporate side of franchising, it is extremely challenging and it's extremely emotional. These people are putting their life savings on the line to create a future for their family. And if corporate doesn't have, for lack of better words, their shit together, shit could go south real quick. And, I would never want to see that happen to anybody. So you definitely have to, on a corporate level, have your standard operating procedures like really dialed in. But on the marketing side, which I want to talk about now, is something that you really got to pay attention to, right? being the marketing branding guy that I am for so long, I look at local store marketing, especially for franchise locations, extremely important, because what we ran into was, well, we want our own Instagram account. We want our own Facebook account. We want our own, social accounts. And we're like, right. And like, we did that. And it was probably one of the bigger mistakes that we ever made. So talk to me about your local store marketing program and how you had to adjust that over the years to kind of get it to where you're at today.
I just want you can you repeat that it was a mistake, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Everybody's entitled. Everybody's entitled.
Pain point. No, it's a pain point because, like you said, Instagram is very tricky. Every store wants their own, and it's difficult because it's a job. I don't have to tell you, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Running an Instagram account.
Yeah.
And especially with brand continuity, keeping everything kind of in line. We allow our franchisees to have their own Facebook account. I debate a lot of people with the Facebook end of it because people think that Facebook is dead, and I disagree wholeheartly.
Oh, I'm right behind you, dude.
Yeah,
There's no way it's dead.
No, it isn't. Especially with the forums and the ways that you're able to grassroots, be able to immerse yourself into community forums, different, moms groups or whatever the case may be. Like there's definitely a lot of opportunity there. But our marketing, man, it is so complex, but so awesome.
Yeah.
We are doing so much behind the scenes, and that's, Rev, one of our, performance, he's incredible, our CMO. He does such a good job. And Gianna Bruschella, she's like incredible with her creative. Like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and sometimes it gets lost as to how much work there is, how much heavy lifting. You know what I mean? From the SEO to the, there's so much data that goes so beyond again, having a team is so important because I have certain strengths, and every one of us has certain strengths.
Yep. Staying in your lane.
Just every spoke in the wheel has their thing. And our marketing team does such a good job of really pinpointing, the customers' tendencies, what they buy, why our average ticket is such. It's my mother's chicken pastina soup. We identify, shout out to Mama Choffee. Like, she's our chicken pastina soup is a great addition to a salad that drives the ticket average up. And then like identifying Caesar salad, Rev, that we follow that Caesar salad is kind of the gateway salad to get into Salad House and most people. So we crafted a Caesar of the month program that has been awesome. It's just been like every month we just, we come up with a different Caesar of the month. This month is the jalapeno Caesar. It's banging. Yeah. It's really awesome. Last one was the Buffalo Caesar, another killer. But again, people are waiting for the next Caesar of the month. Like they get excited, people that are fans of the brand. Yeah. But again, this is all through data. This is all through so much that goes behind the scenes that people think marketing is just like, taking some pictures, throwing it on Instagram and being like, I'm expecting people to see it and go viral and for people to come in the door. And it's not that. Yeah. And listen, you see me on Instagram, like I do post and I do that. And that's important, you know what I mean? And being relevant and constantly, being people's faces. Like, I may have overdo it, but at the time I balance my life and my food and everything. But at the same time, there's a lot, but I'm so proud of our marketing team and where we are and where we're going. So.
Yeah, no, listen, it's a lot of moving parts. I've been there. I've done it on the corporate level. I've worked with the local stores and I've seen not Salad House, but clients of mine in the past. And you say to yourself, wow, it does take a village when you get into multi-locations to really dial it in. It's very important that you get that dialed in. I want to talk about real quick, and then we got to hop to the app because I'm very impressed with the app. Facebook groups, man. Goldmine.
Yes.
Goldmine.
Yes.
We have a couple accounts right now that we manage, and we're looking at the engagement. We're looking at where all the automations are triggering and firing, and it's freaking Facebook. And we're like, no, this is not that, guys. Maybe to you, because you're 17 and you think it's the old person's app, but not for our restaurant guests, because they're all kind of around our age. Not that we're old, but like, you know, and they're firing away, they're booking reservations. And so those groups, though, are gold mines.
I've noticed now that my daughter's about to go to college, she's 17, she's senior in high school, I've noticed a bunch of her friend requesting me on Facebook.
Oh.
Whereas it used to be the old person thing.
Right.
And now these kids are coming out of high school.
So they're coming back.
Signing on to Facebook. And I think it's because of a lot of what we're saying. You know what I mean? That you know, Instagram is limited. TikTok is limited. Snapchat is limited. You know, whereas Facebook is, like you said, you can go into these other caverns and be able to, you know, see different things.
That's a great word, caverns, because that's exactly what they are. And some have a lot of people in them, and some don't. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
But so I'm very hesitant to download restaurant apps because I'm saying to myself, like, probably never going to use it. Right? It's just a pain in the ass. Another thing I have to manage. Another thing to take care of. But when I bit the bullet and downloaded the Salad House app, I was like, holy shit, every restaurant should have this freaking app and its functionality, because it is such a gamified app that I hope people understand what I'm talking about. Is when you download the app, you immediately get incentivized. And then as you go on and purchase more, you develop points. It's no brain science. This has been around for a long time, but the way that you guys do it, it's with finesse. It's not like I have to spend $1 million to get a soup. You know, people put these parameters where you're like, yeah, I got to spend $300 to get a salad. Like that, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? But you have it where it's very attainable. It's very approachable, and it's easy to use. I'm in and out. Like I will put it, because I'm 12 minutes from the store. So if I put it in my kitchen, time I get in my car and go, it's perfect. It's perfect timing. 1, 2, 3, out, like out of the app, and I'm out the door. And it's so important to understand that, like, you don't need. People think they need these intricate apps, and they don't anymore. Like, I don't think, and then you have your push notifications. I got to tell you, they are so scheduled, and they're not overbearing. They're not annoying where you want to freaking hide the app or delete the app. Right. So, you know, just want to praise you on that, because I truly believe if you're fast serve, you should have an app. Go look at go take this. Don't download the Salad House app right now, and just take some notes, because it's going to help you, you know, understand from a guest experience what an app at that level should be. And I just want to give you props on that, because it's, you know, back in the day, it was a bitch to make an app. Now we're getting to the point where AI can help quite a bit with this app development, which is good. You know, you still got to know what the hell you're doing, and you still got to have, you know, the brain power behind it, right? But your app is killer, dude. And I know you didn't make that overnight.
Thank you. No, and it's and as you're saying it kind of, you know, I revert back to the original business plan, the Tuscan Garden. I think that was my first original name.
I love it. Oh, you would add 100 locations.
And I wrote down, a lot of what you're saying, like the ease of it. And I wrote down, and I'm a big manifester. Like I just, and in God's timing, everything happens. You know, and I always wanted that to be I thought it was a very important part of the success of the brand is the ease of ordering. And just, and like you said, just being in and out and being able to get freebies and double points on Sundays. And, you know, there's a lot, and I appreciate you recognizing it. I really do. Because it's, I enjoy it too.
I noticed it right away. I said, "This is phenomenal," and like I'm like screenshotting it. I'm showing my colleagues, like, this is the way it should be freaking done, dude. I could talk to you for another hour, but we gotta start to wrap up here. But I have a big question for you. I usually end the episode with a question that will have you thinking more about it on your way home. Mm-hmm. So here it is: when the Salad House story is being told 20 years from now, what do you hope people say about the impact it had on the communities it served?
I want people to realize that once we become America's salad brand, we're expanding in North Carolina, Maryland. Once we become salad brand, the America's salad brand, is that we made healthier eating easiest, most delicious, and have fed generations upon generations and made healthy eating not a punishment. Yeah. Made it for the everyday person, and every single person can come to Salad House. We have officially eliminated the veto vote when you go out to eat, and you choose Salad House. And I truly want to be known as the brand that made healthier eating across this country mainstream. And I have it on my vision board.
Oh, that's all. So it's definitely going to come to fruition. I could just tell anything that you kind of put your mind to, it happens. And I truly believe, and to your point, you were talking before, you said, there's no coincidences. And I truly believe there's no coincidences in life. People come in and out of your life for a reason. And I'm so blessed to have you pop in here today and share your story and connect, physically, not so much on Instagram like we have been doing over the last couple of months, but, appreciate you coming on the show, man. This was such a phenomenal conversation. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And I think, Salad House is going to be America's Salad House. And I'm happy to watch it grow and see what it turns out to be. Love you, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And you're awesome too. I mean, I felt that energy through Instagram, and then when we walked in, there's I don't
have to go to my chiropractor today. So you said he was a hugger. Absolutely. I'm skipping the chiropractor today. Awesome, Joey, man. Pleasure, man. Again, wish you the best of luck. Thank you for coming on the show.
You too, man. Thank you.
There you have it, guys. I told you, man, this was going to be an episode that you were going to get some nuggets out of. And I tell you this in every show, make sure that you do something with this information. Don't just gavone the information, actually do something with it, because whether you know it or not, you might have to rewatch this show a couple times or listen to it a couple times, because Joey dropped some bombs that I think you can implement today. These aren't things that you have to bring in this giant team to do. It's a lot of mindset stuff, but it's a lot of action. It's a lot of, taking your time, slow down before you take action and make sure that it works, and make sure it works on different levels. And that's where Joey got to 20 plus locations. That's how Joey got to expanding outside of New Jersey and going to North Carolina, going to Maryland, and setting up spots down there. So again, I wish we had more time, but I appreciate you watching. We got to have him back for part 2. I think it would be phenomenal. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, share this episode with somebody that you think will get some value out of it. Appreciate you guys for watching. We're thousands of streams a month at this point, and I'm so blessed. So I appreciate you so much for all the support. And if you have an episode topic that you want me to kind of highlight or spotlight, or you have somebody that you want me to interview, drop me a DM on Instagram. We'll make it happen. Have an amazing day, guys. I'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.